The photos change first. My face disappears from the silver frames one by one. Mom replaces them with perfect smiles of her new family. Her, Corbett, and baby Belle under chandeliers that never flicker. I stand in the hallway, a ghost in my own home. No one asks where my pictures went. No one mentions the old mural beneath the lavender paint. I learn to move quietly, to breathe softly, to exist in the pauses between their laughter. Corbett calls me polite. Mom calls me dramatic when I ask simple things like dinner time. The house feels bigger every week, but I shrink inside it. At night, I listen to the washing machine hum lullabies of exile. The sound is steady, merciless, honest. It reminds me what belongs here and what doesn't. One evening, their voices float down the corridor. "She's getting expensive," Corbett says, pouring another drink. "She's nearly 13. It's time her father takes responsibility." Mom sighs, not in sadness but in relief. I was thinking the same. Gideon's been asking about her. The air leaves my chest. I stand behind the half-closed door, invisible again. A wordless ache builds under my ribs. They are deciding my future, like a business transaction. The next morning, a suitcase waits by the stairs. Mom doesn't look at me when she says, "Your father will pick you up." I nod because words feel useless. At breakfast, Belle spills milk and Corbett laughs. Mom wipes the table and smiles like nothing happened. I leave my cereal untouched. My reflection in the silver spoon looks unfamiliar. Outside, the fountain gurgles endlessly, polished and hollow. I whisper goodbye to no one. When Dad's truck arrives, the driveway gleams too clean for him. He steps out with paint-stained hands and soft eyes. "Hey, kiddo," he says, as if no time has passed. I want to cry but can't find the tears. He loads my box of books carefully, one by one. "Don't worry, we'll make space," he promises. Space, that word feels like sunlight after years of dim light. Inside the truck, I watch the mansion shrink in the mirror. The sky above it looks heavy with secrets. Dad hums a tune from the radio, off-key but warm. I clutch my old book against my chest. The road ahead stretches wide and cracked. Freedom smells like dust and paint thinner. When we reach his small house, I see wildflowers in the yard. They grow without pattern, fearless and bright. Inside, the walls are uneven, the air smells of turpentine. It's not elegant, but it feels real. Dad clears a space on a wooden shelf for my things. He looks proud, as if he's building me a world from nothing. That night, he cooks noodles with too much garlic. We eat in silence, but the silence feels safe. Before bed, I unpack my books on the new shelf. For the first time in years, no one tells me to hurry. I open Anne of Green Gables. The pages whisper like an old friend. Maybe this is what home sounds like. The mornings start with paint and sunlight. Dad works by the window, brush strokes steady and sure. He hums softly, lost in color and shape. I sit beside him, finishing homework between the smell of turpentine. Our house is small, but the silence here feels kind. There's no marble floor, no silver cutlery, no sharp voices. Only the scrape of a chair, the whistle of the kettle, the rhythm of rain. At school, people whisper about my mother's new life. They talk about charity balls, imported cars, crystal glasses. I pretend not to hear. My uniform is second-hand, pressed carefully every night. Dad says neatness costs nothing, and pride costs less. In the afternoons, I walk to the old bookstore. The bell above the door jingles like a memory. Mrs. Hart, the owner, smiles when she sees me. "Back again, sunshine," she says, handing me a stack of novels. I organize shelves, wipe dust, and breathe in the quiet. Stories become my companions when people can't be. Some days, Mrs. Hart lets me take a book home. She says I read faster than anyone she's met. At night, I study under the yellow desk lamp. Dad paints late, the brush whispering against wood. We live parallel lives, but always meet for tea. He tells me about colors that don't exist in tubes. I tell him about numbers that never quite fit in my mind. He laughs, saying, "You'll build something big one day." I smile, but don't believe it yet. Bills pile up quietly in a drawer we both avoid. When work slows, Dad takes odd jobs around town. Sometimes I skip the bus to save the fare. Walking gives me time to think, to breathe. Winter comes early that year, cruel and gray. The roof leaks over the kitchen table. Dad fixes it with tar and stubborn hope. One evening, I find him asleep in the chair, paint still wet on his hands. I cover him with a blanket, the same way he used to cover me. It feels strange, being the one who stays awake. At the bookstore, Mrs. Hart teaches me the register. She trusts me with keys, with closing time, with silence. "You have a head for detail," she says. "Don't let that go to waste." Her words settle in my chest, quiet but heavy. On Sundays, Dad takes me to the river. We eat sandwiches and watch boats drift by. He talks about how life keeps moving even when people stop. I don't know what he means until much later. When I return home, I see our small house differently. The chipped paint looks like proof, not failure. Each mark tells a story about survival. At night, I read until the words blur. Then I dream of light, of space, of a future that feels possible. Dad's snores echo from the next room. They sound like safety. I whisper to myself before sleep. One day, I'll make him proud enough to forget the mansion entirely. One day, this small life will become something vast. The envelope arrives on a Tuesday afternoon. It's thick, official, and heavier than I expect. My name is printed neatly across the front. Dad sets down his brush when he sees it. "Go on," he says, eyes wide with hope. My hands shake as I break the seal. The words blur for a moment before I can read them. "Congratulations," it begins, and my breath catches. "A full scholarship. Tuition, books, housing, everything." Dad exhales slowly, smiling in disbelief. I start laughing, half crying, half gasping. He lifts me off the ground like I'm still 10. We dance in the kitchen, bumping into chairs. Paint splatters on the floor, but we don't care. He says, "You did it, kiddo, you're free." That night, I sit at the table staring at the letter. The words look unreal under the yellow light. I pick up the phone and dial a number I haven't called in months. Mom answers on the third ring, voice bright and distracted. "Kasha, is everything all right?" "It's me," I say softly. "I got a full scholarship." "That's nice," she replies, music and laughter in the background. "We're hosting guests tonight. I'll call you later." The line clicks before I can respond. I stare at the silent phone for a long time. Then I laugh again, a sound that surprises me. It's lighter, freer, like something leaving my chest. Dad comes in with 2 mugs of cocoa. He doesn't ask who I called. He already knows. We toast with mismatched cups and sit in easy silence. I tell him I'm scared to leave home. He nods, eyes soft. "Courage doesn't mean you're not scared," he says. "It means you move anyway." The next morning, I walk to the bookstore to tell Mrs. Hart. She claps her hands, her glasses fogging with emotion. "I knew it," she says. "I knew they'd see what I see." She gives me a leather-bound journal tied with a red ribbon. "For ideas," she says, "and everything you don't want to forget." I press it to my chest, feeling the weight of her kindness. At home, Dad begins building a frame for the letter. He sands the wood carefully, humming as he works. When he hangs it on the wall, the whole house seems brighter. Every night, I glance at it before sleeping. It reminds me that effort isn't invisible. On the last evening, before I leave for college, Dad cooks noodles again, too much garlic as always. We eat slowly, neither of us saying much. When the dishes are done, he hands me a small key. "It's for the house," he says, "so you always have a place." I slip it onto a chain and wear it around my neck. Outside, the stars look close enough to touch. For the first time, I believe in something beyond survival. I believe in the future I built myself, and in the girl who finally learned she didn't need permission to shine. The city hums beneath my apartment window. 7 years have passed since that scholarship letter. I wake before dawn, coffee in hand, ready for work. My desk is covered with blueprints and solar models. The hum of computers replaces the hum of washing machines. I design systems that catch sunlight and turn it into power. Each project feels like proof that my choices mattered. At lunch, my phone buzzes with a message from Ethan. He works construction, quiet but steady, hands always warm. He writes, "Don't forget to eat," and I smile. We met 2 years ago at a site inspection. He carried panels, while I argued with an engineer. Later, he said I looked like someone who refused to quit. We moved in together last summer. Our house is small, nothing fancy, but the walls feel alive. The kitchen smells of sawdust and garlic bread. Sometimes I wake early just to watch sunlight move across the floor. Ethan calls it our favorite light. I call it peace. Dad visits most weekends, bringing fresh paint on his jeans. He jokes that our place reminds him of his first studio. We spend afternoons fixing things that don't need fixing. He teaches Ethan how to paint signs, how to hold a brush steady. Ethan listens, patient, respectful, eager to learn. When they talk, I feel the quiet thread connecting my two worlds. The girl from the laundry room and the woman with her own nameplate. I've stopped checking my mother's social media. Her life looks glossy, but distance makes it harmless now. One evening, as I prepare dinner, my phone rings. An unknown number flashes across the screen. I hesitate, then answer. "Lee, it's your mother." The voice is smooth, practiced, unfamiliar. My stomach tightens. She hasn't called in over a year. "I need a favor," she begins without pause. "Your sister can't stay in her dorm this semester. You have space." Her tone makes it sound like a fact, not a request. I breathe slowly, counting to 3. "Why me?" I ask. "Because you're responsible," she says, irritation slipping through. I glance at Ethan, who's listening quietly. "We'll think about it," I say, ending the call. Later, we sit at the table, dishes still warm. He takes my hand. "You don't owe her anything," he says gently. "I know," I reply, but part of me wonders if refusing makes me like her. We agree on a trial. 1 semester, house rules, no chaos. A line drawn not in anger, but in self-defense. That night, I can't sleep. The house creaks softly, the air thick with memories. I touch the key around my neck, the one Dad gave me. It feels heavier tonight. Outside, streetlights flicker across the roof. Ethan turns in his sleep, reaching for me. I whisper into the dark, half promise, half prayer. Whatever comes next, it won't break what I've built. Not this time. The black car pulls into our driveway on a Saturday morning. My sister steps out first, sunglasses large enough to hide her eyes. 3 designer suitcases follow, stacked like trophies. "This is it?" she asks, scanning our small house. Ethan offers to help with her bags. She waves him off, already unimpressed. "It's cozy," she adds, the word dripping with irony. I smile tightly and lead her inside. The guest room smells faintly of new paint. Her perfume fills it instantly, sharp and foreign. That night, I hear her on the phone. "It's tragic, Maddie. No pool, no marble floors. I'm dying here." I stare at the ceiling, the old ache creeping back. By Monday, her routine has formed. Late mornings, long showers, silence. She skips her classes, claiming exhaustion or inspiration. When I ask, she shrugs. "You wouldn't understand. Conservatory life is pressure." Ethan gives me a look that says, patience. But patience thins fast. Thursday night, she stumbles in after midnight. Perfume, laughter, cigarette smoke trailing behind. "Curfew exists for a reason," I tell her. God, you sound like Mom, she snaps. She said you'd be chill. Guess she lied. The words sting more than they should. For a second, I see myself years ago, standing in that laundry room. Always the problem, always too much. I inhale slowly, remembering who I am now. This is our house, I say. Respect it, or find somewhere else to stay. She rolls her eyes, but doesn't answer. The next week, the tension grows like a bruise. I find her skipping class again, lounging on the couch. Ethan fixes a light fixture while she leans close, watching. Her laugh rings too bright, too practiced. I freeze in the doorway. He steps back quickly, awkward and careful. Later I ask, did she say something? He nods, hesitating. Mostly nonsense, but it felt off. That night, a text buzzes on his phone. A picture, her in a swimsuit, captioned, "What do you think?" Ethan shows me without a word. I scroll through the messages, my hands cold. Flirting, mockery, small digs at me. He looks ashamed, though he's done nothing wrong. She needs to leave, I say finally. He nods. When I tell her the next morning, she laughs. You can't be serious. Mom will lose her mind. I'm not asking for her opinion, I reply. She accuses me of jealousy, of insecurity, of cruelty. The noise in her voice sounds like our mother. I stay calm. You have 30 days, I repeat. Her face hardens, disbelief turning to panic. You'll regret this, she hisses. But I don't think I will. When she leaves the room, Ethan takes my hand. You did what she never could, he says softly. Outside, rain begins to fall, steady and clean. I close my eyes and breathe it in. The air smells like freedom again. The call comes on a quiet morning. Sunlight filters through the curtains, soft and gold. My mother's name flashes on the screen. I stare at it for a long second before answering. Lee, she begins, her voice unsteady. We need to talk. Her tone carries no authority now, only fatigue. Corbett's business collapsed. The bank took the house. I listen, unmoved. Brielle's marriage ended too, she adds, voice cracking. She has nowhere to go. We thought you could help. The word "we" makes my stomach twist. The same we that once decided I was expendable. I rest my hand on my stomach, feeling my daughter shift. What are you asking exactly? We'll need your spare room for a while, she says quickly. It's only temporary, until things recover. That word again, temporary. It used to mean exile, now it means invasion. I'm sorry, I reply. Her breath catches. Excuse me. I said no, my home isn't open to you. Her voice rises, sharp like old glass. After everything I've done for you. The laugh that escapes me is quiet but real. You gave me life, yes, then you took the rest. She sputters, grasping for control. You'll regret this, Lee. I can take you to court for neglect. You can try, I say softly and end the call. The silence that follows feels sacred. Ethan stands in the doorway, dust on his boots. He doesn't ask what happened. He doesn't need to. He wraps an arm around me, steady and warm. Outside, tires crunch on gravel. Dad's old pickup pulls into the driveway. He waves from behind the wheel, grinning wide. Got something for you, he calls. We follow him to the truck bed. Under a tarp, a handcrafted crib gleams in the sunlight. Built it after work, he says, pride in every word. Thought my granddaughter deserved something solid. Tears sting my eyes before I can stop them. Together, we carry it inside, careful not to scratch the floor. The nursery smells of fresh paint and new beginnings. Wildflowers bloom across the wall, just like my childhood mural. Dad shows Ethan how he shaped the joints, how he polished the wood. They talk about building a deck next, side by side. I watch them, heart full and quiet. No marble, no chandeliers, no empty perfection. Only effort, patience, and love that asks for nothing. When the crib is set in place, I touch the smooth rail. For years, I carried the weight of their rejection. Now it feels like dust on my palms, light and gone. We sit on the porch as the sky fades to amber. Ethan's hand finds mine, resting over our unborn child. "I guess this is home," he says. I nod, smiling. Not the kind of home built to impress, but the kind that survives storms and still smells of sunlight. Somewhere inside, a quiet voice whispers the truth. I am no longer what they left behind. I am everything I chose to become. The evening sky glows soft and orange. Dad's laughter drifts from the backyard as he strings the last lights. The crib sits in the nursery, waiting quietly beneath the mural. I run my hand across its edge, feeling every grain of wood. Ethan stands beside me, his arm around my shoulders. Our daughter kicks once, a small reminder of what's coming. We've built this life piece by piece, with no one's permission. Outside, the house hums with gentle noises of belonging. No echoes of judgment, no footsteps of anger. Just warmth and the promise of staying. Dad joins us on the porch, paint still on his hands. He looks at the house, proud, content. "You did good, kiddo," he says softly. I smile, knowing he means more than the home. He means the peace that fills it. The sun sinks lower, brushing gold across the windows. Ethan squeezes my hand once, grounding me to everything real. I glance at the road beyond the fence, empty and still. No one is coming to take anything away anymore. This time, the story ends where it should. In a house built from love, not permission.